Well, I'm ridiculously late with this one. So, this is super late, and I apologize for it. This was meant to be done months ago, but it was not because a failed attempt that just made it so that, and then I got busy, and then all of the crap that happened in February happened. So, and I don't want to bore you with all of that. Let's just say there is a reason why the location of my setup changed between, Sky 1 and Sky 2, specifically. But now let's actually do this. So you're probably thinking, all right, what is this? Well, unlike the Lorunner, I don't have a website. So these videos are kind of meant to kind of have me talk about my opinions and thoughts about a word, about a game that I've reviewed, and just kind of have the pluses and minuses on screen people on YouTube, and I can, so if somebody new pops into the chat and says, "Hey, is there where can I view the older stuff?" Well, I can point them to this video, and then I can, and then they have an explanation. They have effectively a director's commentary explaining, well, this is why I gave this positive, and this is why I gave this negative, and this is why this was a double positive, and this is why this was a double negative. I had originally recorded one for this, specifically for FF7, but halfway through, my roommate had interrupted me, and I forgot to unmute. So half of the video was ruined, and it was unusable because I was muted. Therefore, no audio was recorded, which sucked. But yes, I am going to be doing this for every game going forward as soon as I get these done. So, from your perspective on YouTube, you are going to get one of these a day in place of the VODs in between, obviously, in between Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure. So, there you go. Which is funny because that actually means that the Trails to Azure VODs are actually going to be delayed by a couple of days. But that being said, I am going to go ahead and just say it. This is probably going to be one of the rare times where an upload will go live on a Sunday, because I don't need this to follow the normal rules. Not really. I mean, I guess I don't need to, but I mean, because it's just a one day. But I also have 6 of these things to do. I've got FF7, I've got Cyber Sleuth, I've got the Sky Trilogy, and then I have Trails from Zero. So, and I forgot to start my playlist because, of course, I did. But I suppose it's fine. I need to do it now because, duh, and I'm just going to turn that down on for you because, because I had it cranked. Alright, so, here we go. I'm also going to turn that down for me, because otherwise it'll feel like I'm yelling. So, first off, right at the top of the page, we have the title, and how many sessions it took. Now, why do I do by session? Well, because my sessions vary in length, and I kind of like to gauge that as, how much of how many sessions did I manage to get it done in, because that tends to surprise me, you know. Now, granted, the measuring stick basically is the longest game that I have done. If you give me a moment. Let me go here. Okay, cool. If you give me a moment to pull it up. Up on my studio here. And if I go to playlists. Alright, so I'll just go ahead and give you some numbers here. 18 is the latest one at Trails from Zero. Got through Sky the Third in 16 sessions. Took me only 12 sessions to go through Sky 2. Sky 3 was 13. Digimon Cyber Sleuth was 14. That's also because I do, like, really long sessions, so that's actually why. For example, Steve's is going to be Steve's go through Cyber Sleuth is going to be as long as it is. 10 for FF7, also 10 for Legend of Dragoon. I'm not doing this for the older streams, by the way, because those are going to get redone, and then when I have a document to share with you, that's when I'll go ahead and do it. Xenogears ran long at 17, only 3 sessions for RE2. Aria Sorrow got it done in 1. I think it was 2 for Rondo of Blood and 3 for Soden, but that was also because of circumstances. I would have been able to do Rondo in 1. FF13 was 8, FF6 was 8, so on and so forth, etc., etc. 10 for FF5 because I was putzing around a lot in that one, so there you go. So that kind of gives you a general idea of the numbers, so. But we should get on with it. So, next up, of course, did I use cheats? Yes, I used all 3 of the built-in cheats to save time, because I did not want to deal with all of that. Pretty self-explanatory. Mostly, it was the no encounter and speed cheats, which, ironically enough, the speed cheat was actually the worst of the 3. Go figure. I think I used the power cheat once or twice, but it's been a few months from my perspective, so duh, right? Alright, so let's get into this. Let's start with my story positives as per usual. The net score, and as you can see, the net score for the story positives capped out at plus 61, which is good. Really good. Not the best story I ever have encountered, but that's also because I don't think this is the best story that I've ever encountered. Still a good story, though. Oh, 61 is pretty good. Good, right? So, Cloud. So we're going to start with Cloud. A double positive for Cloud, because he is way better than his reputation for being a emo FF Pro tag. To be blunt, it fascinates me on the whole emo pro tag thing, because I can only think of 2 pro tags that ever hit that mark, and that's Lightning in 2 and 3, 13, 2, and Lightning Returns, I would argue, although that's because of bullcrap plot points I don't want to get into. And, even Squall, for as much as he's maligned as an emo one, he's just reserved. That's what he is. He internally monologues. He's got inner monologues. He just doesn't like to share. And that's Squall's big problem, right? But no, Cloud is just enjoyable. And to be blunt, I just like every aspect about him. He's not emo, he's a dork. Next up, Barrett. Barrett, and some of these I'm just going to read word for word, because I actually word them very nicely in the document. Give me it here. Barrett is 2 positives, as he is a great example of a regular guy trying his best to fight for a cause he believes in, when all he really wants to do is just be a normal father deep down. Barrett is the kind of character that is just conflicted, right? Barrett is... How do I phrase this? Barrett is the kind of person that... he does want to fight the good fight. He does want to be, a good person. The problem is that, well, he wants to be with Marlene all the time, but he has to fight because otherwise he feels the planet is going to die. But he really just wants to be with Marlene all the time. That's how that goes. And that is not what I need. Let's just go back. I don't want the Dawn of the Slum song yet. I figured it would take me longer to get through this. But yeah, that's Barrett. 2 positives for him. 2 positives for Tifa. I know the internet loves her. She is the waifu of the internet. I don't like Tifa as much as everybody else does, but even I have to admit Tifa was kind of growing on me as I was playing through FF7 again. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and read it out for you. While I don't like her as much as the rest of the internet, Tifa is a great character with great growth, and honestly, if I was reviewing the remake, the version that actually made me really appreciate Tifa, she would be getting a full 3 positives. So, there you go. But as it stands in the main game, 2. Well, now it's time for you to learn which side of the debate I was on. And when it came to Tifa versus Aerith, because Aerith is 3 positives. I like Aerith mostly because I like the fact that she's sweet and innocent while still being strong-willed and knowledgeable, right? And no, I don't think they ruined her by having her be able to say to be like, ah, shit, and it's natural. If you actually pay attention, Aerith is badass. It's just she's just not, Cloud levels of badass. She's badass in her own way. So, yeah, no, I stand behind 3 positives. I'll bunch these up together so we can get moving here. Red 13, Vincent, and Sid are the other 3 party members that got positives. Red 13 is a great example of simple but effective, as I feel his journey is really good. Vincent is a great look into how many levels of messed up Shinra in general and Hojo in specific are. And Sid, well, I do okay, Sid is great at showing how stupid evil Shinra are, because since Mako energy would be on other planets too, because that's the life stream knowledge is the Mako energy is the study of planet life. Even if his relationship with Shara is questionable at best, which we'll touch on briefly when we get to story -6. I still think he manages to show compassion and intelligence. I forgot to add a song, because I am SMRT smart. Alright, give me a second. Because I had prepped this playlist mostly so I could do this, and I screwed up. So please forgive me while I pull this up. Running out of time. There. Go. Come on. There you go. Okay. And then I will get back over here so I can hit that when I am ready. Because it's time to talk about Sephiroth. And I think to me, Sephiroth is characterized very well for what he is. And what he is an antagonist is a good antagonist. And well, I admit I'm one of those people who thinks thinks that you could easily tell a story about Sephiroth having never gone evil, which is, what I intend to do in my setting. He is still well done when he is well done. Whether or not I think he's well done in the remake is questionable, admittedly. But at the same time, I do actually like the build up to him and all of that good stuff. So, plus to Sephi. I also placed Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge in a weird spot, but I actually like them. I think they're fun characters, and even in the OG FF7, I think they are really cool. Then there's Hojo. Oh boy, appropriate that I picked this song's playing while I'm talking about Hojo. Hojo is a great example of a character that you hate because you're supposed to. And it's a great example of the evil scientist trope. Evil in all of the right ways, which just makes it cathartic to take him down. There's no... Well, okay. Hojo is stupid evil, but he's supposed to be stupid evil. Like, you feel like that's... He's not badly written. Like, say, I don't know, Gunter from Trails from Zero. No, he's actually kind of awesome. Oops, did I spoil that? Yeah, I spoiled that. I don't care. Trails from Zero has a terribly written villain. Anyways, point is, Hojo is way better than the fucking jackass from Trails from Zero. So, the camera work. There is good use of the camera all throughout the game. The panning shot of the Shinra building down to Cloud, Tifa, and Barret looking at it, being my favorite example of that. I know that's one of the most iconic things, and it's honest, and it's that shot is what's actually being homaged with the thumbnail of this and the rest of the bots. So there's that. I need to shift gears to a different song now. What? Oh, there you are. Flashback of the Promise. Hummus. I gotta be honest with you. I love this scene. Well, I shouldn't say love, but I like this scene, right? It's great at establishing Cloud and Tifa's friendship and foreshadowing, as an aspect of Cloud's arc that, may or may not come into play and help out, and help resolve crap that ends up happening later down the road. Which we will, of course, talk about when we get there, because, duh, right? So. Yeah. I'm not going to let this song play for the whole thing. I'm just going to go ahead and say that, because, yeah, it's 5 minutes, and I really don't think we should sully Tifa's theme when we need to talk about President Shinra. President Shinra is a very simple character. But I actually think he's good. He's a great example of what I call callous corporate evil, right? Because he doesn't give a damn about anything except making more money, right? If it will make Shinra more money, the planet can burn for all he cares, right? Great example is during the destruction of Sector 7, which, yeah. Yeah. I guess I should have mentioned, spoilers. I'll probably edit this and then put a spoiler warning right at the beginning. But I mean, I'll also be putting this like at the end of the VOD, so I'm probably marking this as an extra thing. So there's that. But yeah, yeah, it's a insane. President Shinra is a great villain for as little as we get of him, and I like that. So now I can shift back to my playlist. Because now it's time to talk about some humorous stuff. First of all, I did give a plus for humor, as you can see there. And number 19, the whole wall market sequence is actually pretty good, all things considered. You know, it's a fun little romp that shows Aerith thinking on her feet. You know, it exposes Cloud as the dorky warrior he is. You know, there's whether or not Cloud gets picked. There's Cloud getting picked for being, Don Corneo's pick for the night. I don't want to go into that. It's all good stuff, and I actually like it. I honestly like it a lot. Because it feels good. But now it's time to talk about some horror. Because it is time for the destruction of Sector 7 and the Trail of Blood scene. The destruction of Sector 7 is just poetry. It is one of those. Okay, let me say this much. I don't like horror. I think horror is. I don't like things going wrong, and I feel like horror too often there's no happy ending because that's the point of it. It's a similar reason to me not liking tragedy, right? You can do horror well, and you can do tragedy well. And hell, the destruction of Sector 7 is a great example of something that is just beautifully horrifying, right? The screams of the people when the plate falls, the news anchor's newscast being disrupted as he is crushed, and all while that's happening, President Shinra is looking down at the carnage. Well, classical music plays. Well, he has a neutral expression. How appropriate that I am in a basement that seems to never have its temperature increase because, oof, it is such a cold scene and absolutely worth the 3 positives I gave it. The Trail of Blood scene, on the other hand, and called so because this song that's playing right now, Trail of Blood, is what plays during it. It's a nice and chilling scene, and it leads to a great moment where we learn just how deadly Sephiroth is, in spite of the fact that we have yet to see him at this point. Because remember, he got in and killed President Shinra from behind. Yeah. He's dangerous. Sephiroth is dangerous, and this intro definitely shows that. So this ends the intro, which ends after the motorcycle chase, which is awesome. Yeah, it's a great intro to the story, the world, the major conflict that will be the crux of the story, and it also introduces the entire mandatory playable party, save for Sid and Kate Seth. Because remember, Yuffie and Vincent are optional party members, so it introduces us to Shinra and their deal, and Sephiroth, hinting that he's no hero despite him being against Shinra. In my setting, yeah, it's not even a question. He never went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but that's also because I changed a lot of aspects in my setting. Cough cough Zach. About this story in my setting. Cough cough Zach. Cough cough. Anywho. And, well, this song plays... Oh, I have it. I have it right here. Okay. In that case... Clouds Past. Alright. We'll get into this more in the gameplay negatives, but I don't like Clouds Past from a gameplay perspective, but from a story perspective, it is really good. To really to look into Cloud's perspective on the Nibelheim incident, and just to really kind of gauge how much Shinra's bullshit broke Sephiroth. And make no mistake, Sephiroth broke because of Shinra's bullshit. So, yeah, that kind of goes without saying. Hey, right? I also like the scenes with Barrett's backstory, where he, to show a great example of the manipulative evil Shinra represents. Even if Yuffie's just like, well, you shouldn't have trusted Shinra, blah blah blah. I mean, granted, I kind of gave her a wash on that, mostly because I was just like, nah, she's got her reasons, and that makes perfect sense. And she's right. Shinra is just pure evil, right? Then there's the confrontation with Dyne. It's a great scene, in my opinion, mostly because it shows the level of depth and the regret and the depth of his friendship with Dyne. How deep he felt his friendship with Dyne went, right? And it also shows just how broken down by Shinra's bullshit Dyne really is. As he's become so bitter and so jaded that he just wants to destroy everything, right? As we see that he has absolutely slipped into madness, right? And let's face it, Barrett could have easily have slipped into that same madness if not for Marlene. And I mean that sincerely. I think without Marlene, Barrett would be a villain. He would be an antagonist. And that's no joke. He could have easily have gone down the same route. His hands aren't any cleaner, after all. Yeah. This is actually one thing I do like about the storytelling in FF7. Things are not directly connected, but they still feel like they're important aspects of the story. And that I actually like. So, yeah. Alright. As I let the song finish. Because it's like right at the end. Alright, Cosmo Canyon. I love Cosmo Canyon from a world-building perspective. It advances, and the fact that it advances everybody's character arcs, Barrett and Earth in particular, and so the whole section got 2 positives. Then there's the study of planet life, a presentation, the planet life presentation by Bugenhagen, which is where this song plays. And I actually like it as an exposition scene on the very nature of the FF7 world, and I actually kind of like that. And it does set up the solution for the main story very nicely, because, with the whole, with what happens when Holy comes into play, right? So that got 2 positives on its own. Oh, and each party member kind of adds their own flavor to it, which is kind of nice. Then there's the reveal of the truth about Red 13's dad, which is just a beautiful scene that I gave an additional plus to. The reason for that is very simple. Okay, I did it. Did do it properly. Good. Okay. The fact that Red 13's dad, being a tragic figure rather than the coward that Red 13 thinks is actually great. And the fact that, the bonding between Red 13 and Naki and Bugan, the Crystal Tears, and the song that plays, which I didn't add to this playlist because, of course, I didn't. Why would I do such? And why would I do something smart? Sorry. Give me a sec. This will only take me a moment to find it. There we go. This song, playing during that scene, is great because it helps to contribute to the fact that Red 13 was wrong. He was wrong. And that's all there is to it. It's that simple. I love this mostly because it just works, And there's just something poetic about a scene like this that works. There's a lot of death in FF7. And it never feels like it's trying to shove all that death in your face. And I like that. I do. Speaking of death, I needed this particular version of the song. Despite the memes, despite the jokes, and despite having seen it a few dozen times, Aerith's death still hits me to this day. It is, without question, poetry. It's still as good as I remember. The CG scene, the dialogue, the music that doesn't even stop when you fight the boss. It's not this particular version of the song because this is the Team 4-star version, but I still love how beautifully tragic this is. Because this was the whole crux. This was the moment they wanted to build up to. And I do lament this death, but I think it works for what it is. It's not a scene that would be in my setting because it wouldn't fit. But if it wasn't in FF7 in FF7 proper, or even in Mission Abridged, that would feel wrong to me. And that's a sign of a good scene. Right there. Easily worthy of its triple positive. To completely shift gears, because I absolutely hate this next section with a burning passion, I have to admit that the reunion scene is great as a fake twist that gets revealed to be wrong later on. It's just, well, when we get to story -6, which is me being generous because I believe that's an aggregate, yeah. Oh man, do I hate it. I hate specific aspects of it, so there's that. And I also kind of hate this song, as I wanted the music to kind of reflect where we were in the story, so there's that. So let's shift to an actual good song, shall we? Weapons attack on Junon, and really the entire Junon section itself is just awesome. The public execution, Weapon getting the party out of it, the slap fight, the airship reveal, those are all excellent stuff. So, yeah, I absolutely gave 2 positives. And he also gave an additional positive for slapping the shit out of for Tifa being allowed to slap the shit out of Scarlet, because fuck that bitch. No, let me rephrase that. Fuck that whore. Don't look at me like that, ladies. You fucking know she's an insult to your gender. Be represented by Tifa and Aerith, the actual awesome ladies of FF7, not a fucking whore that would fuck anything with a dick. Hick. And I'm not apologizing for that. I didn't in the original version of this either. That's a statement that is just holding true, period. Because, yeah. Then the story positives just kind of trickle out and kind of stop for a good long while until we get to Cloud's subconscious. This is a section that I have always kind of been of two minds about, admittedly. On the one hand, it's always been the part that I dread going through on another playthrough, but really having gone back through and analyzed it now, I actually agree that it is a fantastic dive into Cloud and Tifa's characters. And admittedly, there is a reason why it remains one of the most iconic story beats of all time. And I gotta admit, I am gonna have trouble doing this in my version, because again, it didn't happen this way, kind of thing. But at the same time, that's also because, I kind of didn't have, which is the other reason why I just wanted to, I'm like, and just pull the trigger on the whole Sephiroth never goes evil thing. Because a lot of this does rely on Sephiroth having turned, gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and turned evil. And that's really what this boils down to, right? And honestly, which is funny because the pacing of the second disc, in my opinion, is pretty bad. But at the same time, despite that, this scene has good pacing, which is just kind of weird in its own right, No, but of course, the big point I'm making here is I also want to, I'm giving special praise to specifically the reveal that, yeah, Cloud absolutely was at Nibelheim. Because that is where the music direction really shines. It is it answers several questions which we have been having since, basically since we got out of Midgar. Like, as soon as Cloud started talking about his past, we have had so many questions about all of it, And I love that this whole section just answers those questions and just reveals everything. It makes everything just work, in my opinion. And that's awesome to me. It works so well, in my opinion, that it just... This is an example of a section that earns 6 positives, right? And I am actually so glad I felt compelled to give this double, triple positive. God, that's hard to say. I've loved the fact that I was compelled to give 2 triple positives to this section, because it's going to make it feel all the more cathartic when I get to the Cold Steels and I start giving multiple triple positives to scenes in those games. Because I will be giving multiple triple positives to aspects of different scenes in the Trails from Cold Steel games. Because there are just so many sections that where that is a thing, right? Where it's, yeah, it, it works because of just the nature of it. And yes, there are scenes in the Cold Steels that I would argue are the equivalent of this. Because I would argue that the Trails of Cold Steel series are some of the best storytelling I have seen in fiction, just as this is. Now, if you're wondering, if you're looking at me like, well, Blue Wolf, what about the Crossbell games? Well, as I stated at the beginning of this is being recorded in between my streams of Trails from, and in between, I have them right here, in between Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure. This one disappointed the shit out of me. We'll see how this one holds up. Because, yeah, I did not care for Trails from Zero if it's not incredibly obvious. So, there's that. Then there's the huge materia arc, which culminates in the Shinra number 26 scene. Which, it is what it is. It's good, and it starts to soften his character. I also like the scene of where we reveal that Aerith prayed for Holy. That's a nice touch. That's a nice scene, and I like it. What I'm not liking is all of this. There we go. But yeah, so there's that. So yeah, the Shinra number 26, it's the stuff in the rocket. It's decent. Not the best storytelling I've ever seen, but still good stuff. What is next on the playlist? Yep, perfect. That timing was also honestly perfect. The firing of the Shinra cannon, and by extension, the attack by Diamond Weapon. The firing of the Shinra cannon is awesome, despite the modern port's audio issues. I still like the hole in Diamond Weapon. It's convenient that he's standing right in front of it. Fuck it. I don't care about that. I still think it's a good scene, worthy of 2 positives. But as my note here says, if only Advent Children didn't exist to ruin this. Well. Still a good scene. So, there's that. So, yeah. Still, can't go wrong with a good scene, so let the good scene stand. So, with that, we move on now to the next story beat. Did I set this up? Yep, perfect. Once again, perfect. So, heading into Midgard to stop Hojo from firing the Mako cannon again when it's not ready. I like that scene. It really shows the gang, have morals, and the fact that they are just awesome as a team. It's honestly one of my favorite bits ever. And it just really, really works. So, yeah. It's just one of those things where it's just I absolutely love Sid's theme playing during it, the parachuting. It's all just epic, and it all culminates into dealing with Hojo on the cannon, which is just great. Then there's some side stuff we can see, like Buchenhagen's death, at the optional Zack scene, which is good. Before I talk about the last story beat that got a positive, I want to talk about all the random stuff. So, I like the animations. They're not great, but I think they're good. I love FF7's atmosphere. I like FF7's atmosphere, tone. The main plot got a plus. Lots of small details in the background, background lore. The sprite work on the character models is great. There's some good foreshadowing. Babylon 5 effect, the entirety of Cloud's subconscious. Good gameplay and story integration in a lot of ways. Story sequencing and storyboarding are good. The themes of negligent evil companies, which and finding yourself, which honestly are more relevant now than they were 26 years ago, ironically enough. Good visual storytelling throughout. Good world building throughout. Honestly, this feels like a world that could possibly exist. Disc 1 / Part 1, which is the beginning of the game to Aerith's death. Is good, has excellent pacing in my opinion. 2 positives worthy. Only fumbling once with Kate Sith's betrayal in the Temple of the Ancients. We'll get into that in story negatives 11 through 13, which is 2 positives. What's next on the thingy? I want to save that, so let me. So sorry. There's going to be a bit of silence for a bit. Party members adding their own unique flavor to scenes is all throughout the game, and I love it. NPCs flesh out the storytelling, which is good. Good use of internal continuity. Good visual continuity, especially past disc / Part 1. Because which I mean, you can actually see Meteor coming down on disc 2, so that's cool. The music direction is better than mine, I would imagine, but yeah, that's I actually like it. A lot of scenes are enhanced by the use of music. A weapon attacking Junon, diamond weapon attacking Midgar. Those two come to mind immediately. It's so good. Yeah, it was a double positive. And then we have 2 more points to talk about. We have one thing that I need to pull up a song. I need to pull up a specific song for, and one that I have to. That I need to go back to a specific song in order to do this. So my apologies as I get over to it. There. So, last 2 story beats we got to talk about are Cloud versus Sephiroth 1-on-1 and the outro. Now, I have mixed feelings on the ending, admittedly, but I love that 1-on-1 fight between Cloud and Sephiroth in the live stream. The one that shows off Omni Slash if you never got it. That's a good little scene, and it just feels like a nice cap to the story. But the outro is nice, and it helps to show that our efforts weren't completely in vain, even if it takes the post-credit scene to really show that, with the 500-year later transition, But yeah, it's good stuff. And I honestly thought I was going to have more to say about it than that. But I apparently do not. I do not. So, yeah, that is all of my story positives. As it is, all 79 of them. Let's talk about the story negatives now. This is going to be considerably shorter because I don't have as many negative things to say. So, here we go. So, alright. This one's probably going to get me some shit, but I don't like Don Corneo in the original. I feel like he's just kind of irritating, and honestly, I feel like even in the remake, if it wasn't for Fred Tatasciore voicing him, I probably wouldn't give two flying shits about him. Actually, is it Fred Tatasciore in there? Give me 1 sec to look that up. Because, you know, it would be nice not to get that wrong and credit the wrong person for being the only reason I don't want to fucking throw up every time I'm done on perverted asshat it is on screen. No, I'm right. It's Fred Tatasciore. I was right. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Right? Which is funny because I can actually say that about a lot of this cast, as weirdly enough. But yeah. Then there's Sung and the Turks. Oh my god. Okay, so I don't like how inconsistent the Turks are across the entire game, and it really does lead to plot holes, and I really don't like that. Then there's Heidegger, who, despite being kind of awesome in the remake, is a fucking waste of my time and brain cells. And frankly, in the original, all he does is just laugh, insult other characters and laugh. That's it. You eject him from this version and replace him with just a random yes man whose only lines of dialogue are yes sir to Rufus. It's like yes sir and I'm sorry sir, and nothing has changed. He is literally nothing. He is literally a goddamn nothing burger, which is just irritating. You know? We'll get to Scarlet in a bit. Then there's Kate Sith. Oh. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for that song. That song is intrusive. I'm not ready for it. Let's shift to a different song. I don't think I have it because I don't like that song very much. Did I remove it from here? If I can get down to the C's, that would be great. I did. Okay. So let's go over here then. Scroll down. So, because, yeah, it is time to talk about fucking Kate Sith. And Yuffie by extension, but I'll keep this song playing for a bit. So, Kate Sith. Much like Ultros is in FF6, if you like if you find him funny, then his actions at the end of the Temple Agents is awesome. But the problem is I don't like Kate Sith, and there's also, the whole fact that he's a fucking traitor, which is just fucking stupid, and I really, really don't like him at all. And that's the same with Yuffie. Now, Yuffie's the one that's probably going to give me the most shit, but hear me out. In the original FF7, she is a fucking irritant. Yes, I know about the behind the scenes where she was the glue that held everybody together, but that's because she grew as a fucking person as a result of the events of FF7. And as I am so fond of saying, a character that starts out as a fucking irritation and then gets better later is still a fucking irritation, right? Are we really going to forgive Season 1 Picard just because Season 3 Picard is awesome? Fuck no! You're still gonna call him a sanctimonious prick who's preaching the Starfleet gospel. This bull. Like, fuck. Ugh. Then we've got the aggregate of Rufus, which has 5 points. Rufus needing different transportation methods is really freaking dumb, as I feel like, he should be able to just hop in an airship and go wherever the hell he wants. I like Cosmo Canyon, but the buggy breaking down right in front of it is just a little too contrived for my liking. Sid's treatment of Shara is not good and can easily be read as abusive, and that's just crap in my opinion. The reunion honestly is a little too mindfucky for my taste, and again, it slogs and is not very good once you know the full scope of it. And the Lucrezia scene, it gives us next to nothing of relevance elements, and honestly is never followed up on until Dirge Cerberus, and that is divisive to say the least. I am not somebody who, gets all up in Dirge Cerberus's shit, but yeah, I would be lying if certain story events did not seem really fucked. Like Lucrezia finding Vincent's dad to be a DILF. I fucking wish I was kidding with that. Speaking of dumb, Nibelheim being back and fully rebuilt, with actors from Shinra masquerading as the villagers. If you didn't know that was what was going on, which I wouldn't have blamed you if you didn't, because you have to go digging for that info. So, question, Shinra. What the fuck was the point of that? I instead of being used for some plot or character progression, my note on it just says everything. Instead of being used for plot or character progression, it's just used as another let's mindfuck Cloud because fuck him bit. And frankly, that is just fucking stupid in my opinion. It doesn't work. It's not an engaging plot point, and I don't like it. Moving on. Now it's time for this fucking shit. So, the Stolen Materia side quest. This is easily one of the 2 worst sections in the game. I believe it's the worst story-wise? Yes. It is the worst story-wise, hands down. Because even from a story perspective, it's bad. Because the pacing is annoying. The Turks steal the show in the worst way. Don Corneo, of all fucking characters, being the villain is just, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. And then there's also reveals that Don Corneo is a fucking pedophile. Because, that's what we so fucking needed that to be a fucking thing. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this side quest, and it put me into full caps lock when acknowledging that it was 3 negatives, because Jesus Christ. Then there's the reveal of Kate Sith being a traitor and the Temple of the Ancients. Good lord. Give me a second. Let me find it. Come on. Where are you? Where are you? No, I don't want Mark of the Traitor. Hitter. Not the biggest fan of that. There it is. So, Kate Sith being revealed as a traitor. It's an annoying scene for me because I know I'm the only one who gets bugged by the reveal that Kate Sith is a traitor, but I'll just go ahead and read my note. The reveal of Kate Sith being a traitor is an annoying scene that bugs me and only me. I know that. But it still goes nowhere and gets completely ignored through, though this should have been where Kate Sith ends. Had the Temple of the Ancients been his last dungeon as a party member, or if he had a similar breakdown as the one he has in Team 4 Star's Machine Abridged, honestly, the scene would have worked wonderfully. But as it is this scene this scene and everything about it just pisses me off so much that it's a double negative for me. In fact, you know what? Let me actually pull it up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up. Uh, this is not in order. I hate it. There's no way to change that, which aggravates the crap out of me. Well, that's that, but that's going to require me to go find it. And I know it's in one of the sessions, and that's going to be way fewer things. Oh, come on. Where the hell is it? There it is. Okay, I think it was... Shoot, what session was it in? Okay. Give me a moment. I'm going to have Futurologs just edit this out. Well, Future... Well, yeah. Yeah, Futurologs. But, so I will edit this out, but just give me a moment to pull it up. So, be with you in a sec. Record. Okay, so that's that. Goofy or characters in the but this is how Machine Bridge handled this whole scenario, and in my opinion, it's way better than the game did. So okay, so I'm going to play you some audio from my stream actually, because that's the easiest way to do it because I found it. was in session 5. It was about 38 minutes in. Oh yeah, Aerith guides them and everything.
Hey, so I know I'm kind of relegated to the bad guy corner, but can we really trust someone who's literally leading us blindly?
You are absolutely the last person who should be talking about trust right now.
Let me ask you something, you spy cat. When you were climbing that Shinra corporate ladder, what was weighing you down more?
Sid, by the way.
Full of blood money or the souls you crushed along the way?
Aerith was right about the keystone and where to find it. She's probably
Cloud.
right about where the Temple of the Ancients is too.
Yeah, I'd like to know what was up with
Barrett.
that, man.
Yeah.
Yuffie.
Just
saying that.
I can hear voices in my head.
This is
Hear voices in your head?
Yes, I think it's the
I guess I didn't remember how many I said in this.
Also, hi.
Right, 13.
Maya once told me that the Cetra were able to communicate with the planet long ago. Humans used
I guess I should have just pull it up, shouldn't I? Well, I mean, on the VOD, yeah, you should. It passed Alex.
Well, your abilities have been
There.
great on all of me, Aerith.
Sorry.
You're really special.
The boy's right. At least you ain't my grandpappy Sid the Eighth. He was a respected headmaster at a mercenary school. Fucking
Disgrace.
Backstabbing son of a bitch like some people we know.
Oh my god, are we really gonna turn this into crap on Kate's this day?
How about we make it a week?
I'd like to know something, actually. Why are you still even here?
Well, because...
I bet the fucker called up the Turks to say we were coming so they could ambush us.
What? No,
Or maybe you're recording live so your friends from Shinra can hear us.
Do not call those people my friends!
Then why, Kate? Why is your greedy corporate fat cat ass even here?
Because I fucking hate my job!
This.
Firsthand what Shinra's done. All the things they've destroyed. Homes, dreams, lives. And if it means they can make a few more bucks, the planet will probably be next. I know you guys don't trust me. I can't just sit around anymore and watch them abuse their power like this. That's why I'm coming with you. You're right about a few things, Kate. Shinra needs to be stopped, and that we don't trust you. That's why you're coming into the temple with Aerith and I.
And if you even think pulling the shit you did at Gold Saucer...
Then we're gonna go to Shinra HQ, find out who the f*** you are,
And drop you from the top floor like the Sector 7 plate.
I think they hate you.
At least I'm being thought of.
Yeah. Now, what that was that was an excerpt from my stream, which was also a me utilizing the FF7 machine abridged, clip from FF7 machine abridged. Specifically, I don't even remember what episode that was. That was episode 24. That is specifically the cold open of 24. And to be blunt, if that kind of breakdown had happened in the actual game, I would have been a lot more okay with it. Mostly because, at least then, well, there would have been some actual fucking weight behind Kate Sith's garbage. There's no nice way to say it. There would have been at least some merit to Kate Sith's all of Kate Sith's bullshit. And he would have been actually a fucking character. And then there's the Temple of the Ancients itself, which in my opinion is just full of bad pacing, and the dialogue is more annoying than intriguing for me. And honestly, I kind of feel like it doesn't say anything other than to reveal Sephiroth's motives, which are just, I will be the god of the new world, and yeah, I just get bored thinking about it. Also, this is where we find out that Cloud can be controlled by Sephiroth, which has had 0 hints before this. Oi. Then there's Kate Sith's sacrifice, which is just... it's treated as heartwarming and tragic, but in my opinion, it's just full of fake pathos. First of all, Kate Sith's a fucking traitor. Okay, we have to acknowledge that. Kate Sith is a goddamn traitor. And that's really the problem with it in a nutshell. And that's really the problem with it in a nutshell. And I feel like there's just not a lot of weight behind Kate Sith's sacrifice. I feel like Kate Sith's sacrifice just falls flat for me, right? Because remember, he stabbed us in the back like 1 or 2 hours of gameplay ago, and has done nothing to indicate that he even feels bad about it, right? Which is why, for example, the way Machine Abridged handled it would have been better. Because then you show that, yeah, okay, the party still doesn't trust him, but at the very least, there is still something there. There is some regret there, right? Right? Everybody's like, why the fuck are you still here? And him breaking down and saying, because I fucking hate my job. Something to that effect. But as it sits, no, Kate Sith's still just, hey, let's continue on like normal because who the fuck cares? Ugh, give me a break. Like, right? And now we have to just trust him? Ugh, fuck this bullshit. Ugh. Some dialogue revealing that we were doing this reluctantly at least would have helped, but yeah. Instead of Aerith just outright trusting him like she does. Oh, also, it's the death of a mass produced toy that lasts 10 seconds. Oh. Fuck. 4 negatives left to go through. Let me get a different song. Let's get a different version. I'm gonna grab a different version of the Shinra theme. This one in particular by The Versions. So, Scarlet, much like Heidegger, is fucking useless to the plot. Oh, and she's also stupid and arrogant to the point where she literally admits, while live cameras are rolling, that this is all just fake. That the accusations are fake, and that they're just pinning somebody on them, on somebody to pin them on somebody. Oh, and she hasn't been used up until part 2, so it's like, what? Ugh, and never mind the arrogance. There's a reason why slapping the shit out of her got a fucking story positive by itself, damn it. Now, despite this is the what I mentioned all the way back up in story positive number 49, because despite the praise for the Shinra 26 section, the huge materia arc to me just feels wrong. Shinra is trying to blow up Meteor, and we're messing with them. Simply because it's Shinra. Yeah, I feel like this should have been more of a dilemma slash something they should have discussed. But there's no discussion about it. It's just, yep, we're gonna go kick Shinra's ass because fuck it. Not even a little bit of lip service to the idea that the idea of, well, what if they can succeed, right? And maybe even consult Bugenhagen and have Bugenhagen be like, yeah, I don't even think it's possible, even if they loaded up all of the material on the planet. And then have that be the reason we start going after Shinra, because their plan was going to fail, because we're certain that Shinra's plan was going to fail regardless, At least there, that would have had some semblance of pathos, some semblance of anything. Team 4-star version, because apparently I'm not done. But yeah, I feel like I feel like it's just kind of ridiculous. Oh, and then the pacing is also interrupted halfway through by Cloud Subconscious. Which, honestly, I feel like Cloud Subconscious should have been before or after the huge materia arc. You know? And it just kind of... Ugh, I don't know. There's just something about it that I've never liked. And this is something that I've held true for years. That the entire Cloud Subconscious arc and the huge materia arc in general has just been kind of like bleh, you know? Disc 2 is not one that I look forward to replaying. Right? I like the stuff on Disc 3, the stuff that opens up on Disc 3, and I like the stuff on Disc 1. I love the stuff on Disc 1. But Disc 2 is just bad pacing and not good story beats in my opinion. Then there's Heidegger and Scarlet trying to kill you because attacking you with Proud Claude because when Hojo's trying to blow up Midgar with the Mako cannon. Why? Like, seriously, just because you're the enemy? Hojo's trying to fucking kill you, you morons! Get your heads out of your asses and go fight. And go fight the real enemy, damn it! But that's it. Those are my 18 story negatives. So, next up. Let's move on to gameplay. With one of my favorite songs. So, let's just start off with the obvious. Triple positive for the music. You've been hearing it all throughout this entire thing. Despite some of the songs not being my cup of tea or, not being good in my opinion, this soundtrack is still phenomenal. And despite the couple of hiccups, every soundtrack and album has at least one song that either is bad or you don't care about it. So, yeah, no, I still say the music warrants 3 positives. So, now, in terms of the gameplay for animations, that was 2 positives. The animations and the storytelling was just 1, but during the gameplay, oh, hell yeah, 2 positives. Gameplay story integration, as per usual. Itemization and distribution. Now, here's the thing. Itemization basically means, how do you gain, new equipment and tools and power-ups and stuff like that. For me. And all throughout the game, I felt like we were discovering new stuff that we could use all the time, and it really did work. I love the AI, the enemy AI and encounter design, as I honestly feel like the enemies, the enemies that are supposed to be weak sauce are weak sauce, and the ones that are supposed to be a challenge are a challenge, and it never feels cheap. Like I'm pretty sure they don't rely on status effects. Actually, I don't think I gave status effect fetish. I guess we'll find out in the gameplay negatives, but yeah. The materia system is amazing and allows for great builds. 3 positives for that. The enemy variety was 2 positives, as I feel there is a good variety of different monsters that you fight throughout the game. Bosses or monsters and bosses, both. I like how the overworld is designed. There's some good quality of life features. The good. There's little touches to different things that are great throughout. The iconic sound design. Because good. With good sound effects and everything. Good visual distinction, so you never really get lost. There's some decent flow of exploration, which leads you to get some great stuff. I love Mako Reactor 1 as a warm-up dungeon. Beginner's Hall is a good tutorial. Even though, I feel like it's easily ignorable if you don't need/want it. Which is funny because I do think this game tutorializes itself pretty well, which is where positive number 24 comes into play. Now, I know I'm just blazing through this, but again, a lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. The game has, there's just the feel of playing the game is really what a lot of these early positives are all about, right? Then there's limit breaks. I love how flashy and powerful they are, and it feels rewarding in terms of surviving long enough to build up the gauge, which earns the mechanic 2 positives. You know, I like it. The materials, in terms of the builds got multiple positives. The materia itself gets a triple positive as well. Then there's mastering materia, which got 2 positives because it is just infinitely useful because a new one is always born. And I like that, especially when it comes to the all materia, which gives you 1.4 million gil, and that's just freaking amazing. Especially considering how fast all materia levels up, especially with specific spots in the game. The spell effects feel awesome, especially the summoning materia due to those animations. I do like Wall Market, despite it being a little walkthrough idacy to get everything, but it's not 100% necessary. Infiltrating Shinra is honestly one of my favorite sequences in any game ever, and is an initial. You can either make the initial part as combat heavy as you want, but it also has good puzzles, and they're not really brain teasers, but they do still require you to pay attention. And the mandatory fights later on during it just offer a good challenge, in my opinion. So, even if I stand alone, infiltrating Shinra gains 3 positives. The intro ending at Midgar, similar reasons to the story beats. It's just that the game mechanic, pretty much every game mechanic has already been introduced, with very little yet to be tutorialized. Namely, blue materia and gaining new limit breaks. By this point, are the only ones that are really not tutorialized. But although if you've been, actually leveling and not just, like racing through it, yeah, you probably would figure that out. Even from a gameplay perspective, I like the weapon attack on Junon. I don't know why that's here of all things, but okay. And it's good at utilizing a limited party. So satisfying to hit the circle button to slap the shit out of Scarlet. So fucking satisfying. The Ancient Forest. This is an optional dungeon that you either need to defeat the optional boss ultimate weapon, or to get a mountain chocobo in order to get to. But it is a decent series of puzzles, and it yields some pretty damn good rewards, especially if you get there early. Guard Scorpion as a first boss. This is good. I like Eek attacking when its tail is up. Call me weird. I don't care. Here. Good tutorialization of counterattacks and how limit breaks are charged. Sample HO512. This is the boss that you fight just after meeting Red 13. I think he's a decent boss fight, and while yes, his ads can be recharged, his ability to revive his ads is limited because enemies have limited 8 MP at their disposal in this game. So there you go. 100 Gunner and Heli Gunner is a good fight that offers a challenging but fair battle. They even have animation changes that indicate what stage of health they're at, which is very nice. The 1v1 of Cloud vs. Rufus. It's an easy fight, but honestly, I still like it as kind of a little bit of a solo challenge. And it led, which also helps to characterize Rufus as he lets the others go, and that helps to characterize him. And given that it ends with Rufus escaping via helicopter, it's shown to be earned. The arrogance is shown to be earned. Right? There are multiple approaches to the fight, and it does let you set up just before, so there you go. set up however you want for that fight. Motorball, simple boss, but has some varied attacks, and overall I actually kind of like the challenge of him as well. Then there's Genova Birth, which is the boss we fight during Aerith's death. It's a decent challenge for that point in the game, Genova Birth Life is the other one, sorry. Genova Birth is the one on the ship, and that's a good fight. Barrett vs. Dyne is another solo character match that I actually enjoy. The optional fight with Rio and Root at Gongaga is a nice and simple boss fight with good rewards. Lost Number, if you open the safe in the Shinra Mansion, is actually a great optional fight that lets you control how the fight goes with his two forms. One will take less damage from physical attacks, and one will take less damage from magic attacks. So, cool. You'll have to adapt your strategy accordingly. Materia Keeper is a fun and challenging fight. While it's hard, I feel it's fair. Just leave Vincent, or Galleon Beast anyway, out of this fight. Genova Life, the one that I actually mistook for earlier. This is the one you fight during Aerith's death, and it's 2 positives. As it is. It doesn't suffer from tonal whiplash, as Aerith's theme continues to play during it. Also, the water ring you get in the Forgotten Capital can make you immune to her attacks, which earns it 2 positives. The Twin-Head Shizo is a fun challenge and proves to be tough without going as overboard as Demon Wall did. We'll talk about Demon Wall in the gameplay negatives. I, at the very least, enjoy that fight. Genova Death completes the trilogy of Genova main fights nicely. She's not too difficult, but you can't sleepwalk through the fight either. Or type about it while fighting her without interruption. Lol. That comment is because as I was typing it out on the stream, you'd be able to see this on the VOD. I was trying to type it out. I was typing, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta pay attention. Okay, now I should be good. Type. Oh, now I gotta pay attention again. It just kind of kept happening, and it was kind of funny. Carry Armor gets a bad rap, and unlike the Fort Condor minigame, which we haven't even talked about yet because it's down below in my notes, I can actually see why Carry Armor gets a bad rap. For me, though, I like it because I normally rely on summons, and summons trivialize the fight, and you can also kill the arms that trap the party members fairly quick. And, oh yes, unlike those fucking engine room tentacles in FF6, they don't have a fuck ton of HP, while absorbing shit and killing your party. Though the arms can do the latter, it's much slower in doing so and gives you time to beat them. Diamond Weapon is a basic fight, but it is still fun, and honestly, I think I gave it I do feel like I gave it a positive, mostly for the 3500 AP, because, yeah. Proud Claw, despite story negative 17, is fun and a nice simple challenge. I love the cathartic beatdown we give Hojo, despite his status effect fetish. I guess I did mention it. But, despite a boss with a status effect fetish, I gave a status effect fetish boss us 2 positives. This is how you do status effect fetish bosses right, Trails! Emerald Weapon, which is an optional boss fight. It's difficult yet rewarding, earning him 2 positives. Genova Synthesis, whose theme song Genova Synthesis, which has this song playing while you fight her, is honestly kind of a great boss. It just completely caps off all of the Genova fights very nicely. It also helps indicate how the fight with Sephiroth goes, because if you suck completely at the fight, you will only have to fight Bizarro Sephiroth with 1 party instead of 3. it was enough for me to give it 2 positives. Speaking of Bizarro Sephiroth, the first round against Sephiroth is fun, and it lets you cheese it, and is honestly a fun challenge in my opinion. Fun enough to earn it another 2 positives. So, yeah. Yeah, let's do this one. So, then there's Savior Sephiroth. I like it. You know what? I should. Give me a moment. Oh, God damn it. Damn it, too far. And too far again. Okay. Because, yeah, I probably should just go ahead and do it. So, Savior Sephiroth. I love the song that plays it, even though I love different versions of the song. Specifically, Advent One Winged Angel is my personal favorite version. It has an amazing song. He has enough variety in his attacks, and well, yes, Supernova, his big ultimate attack, is just a glorified Demi. Honestly, I still like it, and I just feel it works. So, great song. And I just prefer different versions of the song, and I also prefer this song. Sorry. Anyways. I also like the final cutscene of Cloud vs. Sephiroth 1v1, as I feel it's cathartic and gives you a chance to see Omnislash if you either weren't able to or didn't bother going to get it at Gold Saucer. The G-Bike minigame, I absolutely love it, as I have to adjust myself here. Give me a sec. Oof, there we go. Ugh, there we go. Ugh, sitting too long. The G-Bike minigame is fun, and I absolutely love playing it. I may be the only one on the planet who will say this, but yeah, the Fort Condor defense minigame is hated, and I will never understand why. Yes, it's slow, and yes, it takes a lot of money to do well on it, but honestly, I just kind of like the slower pace, as it just makes it so that the enemies I can have a bunch of money and then just kind of constantly have units to make it so that the enemies will never get through. You know? Then there's Chocobo Racing, which honestly I love, and it can yield some great rewards later, so that's 2 positives there. I'm also giving 2 positives to catching and breeding chocobos. It's time-consuming and walk-through-itis-y, admittedly. But, yeah, if you find this chocobo sage and constantly talk to him to learn about breeding, river, mountain, black, and gold chocobos, it's honestly kind of fun for me, so, yeah. I love the power progression curve in this game. It's one of my favorite. I love how powerful you end up getting later throughout the game. So now we got to talk about a concept called the Zen of leveling. Now, what is this? Well, the Zen of leveling is where it's just fun to level characters. And it's slow for the most part on Disc 1, but there are great areas to get Exp and AP in, and honestly, I just enjoy leveling in FF7. It's one of my Zen games, right? So, yeah. Also helps that the core combat, is the classic FFs is here and in spades, earning, 3 positives to the core combat. Disc 1 has excellent pacing, in my opinion. Now we get into a bunch that are gonna be just me positives. The limit breaks. Yeah, this is kind of a self-indulgent, but I don't care because I absolutely love each and every one of these limit breaks. Climb Hazard. Good damage, and it looks damn cool. Meteor Rain is a powerful multi-hit attack that also looks cool. And Omni Slash, Cloud's iconic attack, is just as satisfying now as it ever was. Love the animation and the punch it packs. So those are Cloud's, only 3 out of 7 of his limit breaks, which you might think are kind of eyebrow-raising, but some of the characters barely get any. For example, Barret only has 2. Satellite Beam and Catastrophe, basically for similar reasons. Sure, with Satellite Beam it doesn't make much sense, but honestly I'm kind of a sucker for giant lasers that wreck the enemy's shit. Then there's Catastrophe. It's big, hits multiple times, and is a giant laser. Oh hell yeah. Aerith, on the other hand, I'm not ready to end. And I'm not ready to end. Let's find a different song. Actually, instead of doing that, why don't I just rewind in the playlist? Rewind back to here. Let's see. So, Aerith only had 1 of her limit breaks actually get a positive. Great Gospel. Invincibility combined with a Mega Elixir? Fuck the hell yes. Which is her ultimate, by the way, which you do have to go out of your way to gain, but it is so worth it in my opinion. Then there's Cid's limit break Dynamite. Cid lights a stick of dynamite with his cigarette. That's it. That's why it's a positive. He literally lights a stick of dynamite with a cigarette. That's awesome. Is it realistic? Oh, fucking hell no. But it's still funny. Funny and awesome. Dragon Dive. Hey, looks cool. Cool, hits multiple times, and oh yeah, it can inflict instant death. Love it. High Wind, much like Satellite Laser, is video game logic at its finest. But it's my kind of video game logic. Powerful, cool looking, and a multi-hit move. Red 13 is another. And last but not least, we have 1 limit break from Red 13, Cosmo Memory. It is basic, but I do love a good explosion, and it does good damage to boot. Which also leads us to good. Which leads us to good viscerality, which is just how powerful do you feel. I like the outro. I love the final dungeon. The rewards are nice, and I even like the final battles. So yeah, 2 positives for the outro. All right. Let us continue on to the gameplay negatives now. I don't even remember how many gameplay negatives I have. 35. Well, this may take a bit, or this may not take very long. We will see. So there's some walkthrough-itis. It is where it feels like you'll be lost without a guide. There's an aggregate of small annoyances, as there are some modern port issues, including borked audio and graphical hiccups. As some minor control issues with inputs during battle. The speed cheat causes issues since the game was never meant to run that at those speeds. The CPR minigame is boring as all fucking hell, and I hate Tifa's limit breaks. Oh, and racing Tio during the Chocobo races is unfair as fuck. This is why it's an aggregate of small annoyances, because I would not give a full negative to any of those aspects. But I do still think that all of these little annoyances add up to one thing. One big, one negative. Speaking of negatives, how about a triple negative? The second one we've had so far. Which really speaks to FF7's quality if you think about it. Vincent's limit breaks, honestly, in my opinion, are worthless AF. First, there's Galleon Beast, being the worst for when you first get him, because the boss of Mount Nibel Materia Keeper is healed by a fire, and that's the attack it uses the most. Hellmasker, his level 3, is only useful against trash mobs, as it is, status effect fetish the limit break. And then the other two, well, good, are not that great. Right. I forget the name of the second one, but the second one is probably, other than Chaos, is probably, of the initial three, is probably the most useful. Oh, and there's also the biggest problem. You have zero control over Vincent while he's in those forms. And they last for the entire rest of the battle. Like, I may stand alone on this one, but I don't care. They're triple negative for that. Red 13's Howling Moon limit break is just lame. Guaranteed Berserk stat, and honestly, it's not that useful in my opinion. I think it's a haste Berserk, but at the same time, I've never found Berserk to be a useful status effect. Cloud's Past, from a gameplay perspective, is boring and drags on way too long, in my opinion. Also, why are there encounters during Cloud's Past? All that does is slow the already dreadful pace. Are you pissing everybody off again? Cat? Anyways. So, yeah. Then there's the Cave of the Gi, which is our third, and I believe... Nope. Second last as triple negative in the entire game. Let me double check that. Nope. Third last triple negative. Fourth last. Damn it. Okay, so there are some triple negatives here. Anyways, where the hell was I? Right. The Cave of the Gi. Honestly, the Cave of the Gi is my pick for the worst dungeon in the game. The encounter rate is through the roof. There's the irritating fights against the stingers, which you have to deal with at least 2 of, well, 3, if you want everything. You have to deal with at least 2 of them, and 3 of them if you want everything. There's annoying damage gimmicks, and it's a boss that I don't like fighting, as I really don't like fighting Geen attack, so... Then there's the Stolen Materia side quest, which is the worst entire section, not just dungeon, of the entire game, hands down for me. You lose all of your materia, up to 48 pieces, and Yuffie gives you the runaround the entire time. Because what it is you have to go to this chest, as to discover this materia, have that be stolen from you, then you have to go into another person's house, discover her there, then you have to go to, this pot to get her out of there. Or you also have to see the Turks, by the way. I think you have to see the Turks before you can find her in the house. And then you go through the section in her house. Then you have to go chasing her around. Then she gets captured by Don Corneo. Then you have to go climb a mountain, and then you have to deal with a freaking irritating boss fight, which we'll talk about later. God. Ugh, I hate this section, and I never like doing it. And the only reason I do it is because I like having getting all the materia. Temple of the Ancients is a difficulty spike from hell, on top of it being an annoying dungeon, in my humble opinion. The encounters are annoying, it has monster chests, and can be confusing to navigate. The status effect Frog. I don't like being turned into a frog, as it limits your options, and it's kind of crap, in my opinion. The minigame Moghouse is boring. Oh my god. Ugh. And it's literally just using a single button. I have seen children's games. I've seen kids' games at freaking arcades with way more depth than this. I'm also not a fan of the the snowboarding minigame, as I find it boring, hard to control, and I feel it just goes on for way too long. Hate it. There's my note about the bad pacing of Disc 2. Now let's get into some boss fights. Ironically enough, the first boss fight that actually pissed me off was Bottom Swell Hell, which is the Junon, Save Priscilla in Junon fight. Jeez. Melee is useless aside from those equipped with long range materia or Barrett equipped with a weaker weapon than the one you can buy in Calm, which is the latest weapon you can gain for the party. And it also occasionally traps one of your party members in a sphere called Water Polo, which drains their HP. Hey, and while it has very little HP to itself, it's also immune to melee, which is just, oh, come on. And, making you use one specific strategy or being told to go F yourself. 2 negatives for that. Then there's Palmer, which I feel is the exact opposite. Frankly, an insultingly easy fight to the point of, if you lose to Palmer, I have to ask, how? Especially considering seriously, how? Because considering you had to get through Materia Keeper to get to him? Come on. Ugh. Then there's Raps. Raps by itself is another pain in the ass. As when it comes to the Stolen Materia quest. As he's way too hard and is deliberately placed is where you have no materia. Good lord, I hate that fight. I also hate soloing the boss gauntlet at Godo's Pagoda with just Yuffie, as I feel like there are just too many gimmicks that make the fights frustrating. And Godo by himself is worthy of special mention because, good lord, do I just hate him constantly healing, constantly using status effects, and just having annoyingly powerful attacks. Which is also where I finally mentioned that you have to go up against them with Yuffie solo. Next triple negative is Demon Wall. Oh, don't look at me like that. You knew this was coming. You knew this was coming. Demon Wall is the height of frustration. His attacks are way too goddamn powerful. He attacks often, and he hits like a fucking freight train. No, not a truck. A truck will at least give you the chance to leaving you alive. No, this is a fucking freight train. When people complain about grind walls, this is the boss they are usually referring to. I mean, do I even need to say it? Did I really even need to mention the triple negative? Fighting Ultimate Weapon is kind of irritating. Speaking of bosses that are annoying. As you have to chase him all over the map, with the high wind, and then fight him in a location that is based on RNG, since it usually is based on where you find him. Which then he runs from those battles until his accumulative HP runs low. He will just be constantly running around the map. And there are times where it will seem like he is deliberately hiding from you because he just will not fucking spawn. Much like with Death Gaze in FF6, it's accumulative HP, yes, but at the same time, ugh. Good awards in the aforementioned cumulative HP are the only reasons it gets 1 negative. Although, unlike with Death Gaze, in my opinion, because you can actually angle it so as soon as you get in your airship, you are guaranteed, if you do it a specific way, to find Doom Gaze or Death Gaze, right? Jeez. Ultimate Weapon is just ugh. I also don't like fighting Ruby Weapon, as I feel his gimmicks are annoying. And unless you're cheesing him with stuff like Knights of the Round, good luck, is all I gotta say to that. Then there's the difficulty curve, which I feel is just all over the place, with spikes at annoying intervals. Those in certain boss fights, as described with the other ones. And again, I spent too long. Ah, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Okay. 2 more points. Alright, and then we can end. Well, actually, yeah. You know what? I am at the end, so we'll just let it play. Fuck it. So, the enemies known as unknowns on the sunken ship Galinka are kind of annoying and are literally walking status effect fetishes with too much HP. Now, I didn't give a status effect fetish negative. Now, why didn't I, even though I mentioned multiple enemies that have status effects? Well, it's because I wasn't running into status effects left, right, and center. It wasn't like every goddamn boss was relying on status effects. In fact, let's see. I don't even think Ultima Weapon did. I know Demon Wall doesn't. Godo, I don't think does. The bosses in the Gauntlet do. Palmer doesn't. Bottom Swell really doesn't. Yeah, there's not a lot of enemies that actually do, that love to inflict status effects on you. So, yeah, no. So that's why there was no status effect fetish negative. Then there's Kate's limit break slots, which is the only limit break I gave a triple negative to. Slots is easily the worst limit break in the game, as it relies heavily on RNG and can literally end your game if you're unlucky. Not a fan at all of that. So, there we go. And because I forgot to mention it earlier, we will quickly scroll up to the top of my gameplay positives. Damn it, there's a lot of gameplay positives. This is a good game, what can I say? Plus 63 was the final gameplay score for FF7, leaving us with a grand total of plus 124, which is not my highest, but it is in 3rd place. Even in spite of the great score that Sky 2 got, yeah. FF7, if I may be so bold, has always been one of my favorite games. And now that I've actually dived into it, I can safely say I can now explain why. Fun combat, fun gameplay, good characters, good story, even if there are some beats that just suck. Some good, solid gameplay, some good mini games of fun combat, awesome limit breaks. I freaking love this game to pieces. This is the kind of game that I enjoy playing. And just discussing each of my individual plot points, I have been here for nearly 2 hours, gushing about this game for the most part. Because even with the negatives, I didn't spend too long about it, because again, there isn't that much that I can say negatively about FF7. There is negatives. There was 35 gameplay negatives and 18 story negatives. But, again, and if you think about it, you also have to realize that there were 79 story positives, right? And like 98 gameplay positives. A game that earns 98 gameplay positives is nothing to shirk at. In fact, that's actually kind of how I've always felt. And I still stand behind this, and it's actually making me curious how I would rate well, actually, yes, multiple of the other Final Fantasies. Specifically, 8, 9, and 12 are the ones that I really want to sink my teeth into. And honestly, I would also love to do it. As weird as this sounds, this is actually making me kind of want to review the remake and FF15, if I may be so bold. I think that's all I have to say for this one. I might even just leave my searching up the VOD thing, because that didn't take too long. I'll probably watch it back and then decide, so regardless. I will also be sticking this on the end of the playlist, so if you're watching this in an individual thing, I will, of course, link the playlist, the full playlist. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, FF7. Need I say more? As I said at the end of the stream, there's a reason why this game is as legendary as it is. There is a reason why this is as beloved as it is, and there's a reason this game got so many people into the Final Fantasy franchise as it did. So, yeah. So, now I have multiple others that I do need to record. Probably only going to get like one done, and depending on how fast I can get through frickin' Cyber Sleuth. But regardless, that's it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed my thoughts, and I want this record to stand as my firm achievement in reviewing FF7. Even though, God, I probably should have waited. Even though I probably should have waited for Lore to re-review it in the new system. Oh. Ah, well. That's what audits are for. Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. FF7 rocks.